Laura McMillan with BenQ. Thank you so much for joining my session on classroom tips and tricks with the BenQ board. So a few things I always like to point out with our board is the collaborative opportunities that this board brings to you. So starting with our Easy Write software, we have things built into this software that really help you make your lessons engaging and exciting for students. One of the first things I want to show you is our cloud whiteboarding option. So if you want your students to be able to see the Easy Write lesson on their computer and even interact with it if you choose, you can actually send this directly to their computer. They don't have to download an app, they don't have to download any software. It will just go directly to your screen, to their screen. Now, if you have a Google Classroom, you can actually send it directly through Google Classroom. It'll show up as a link in their Google Classroom that they click on and they automatically join. Now in this situation, I'm going to manually start a cloud whiteboard, but this makes it so that you guys actually right here could even scan this code and join my lesson. It automatically adds you guys as participants to my classroom as viewers. So I have a classroom list over here. This is where all of my students and participants will show up, and they will be defaulted as view only. So they will only be able to view everything on my screen. So even if I add a second page and I bring in a template, I can bring in this template here. We're gonna do some high contrast. And so now as I move through my pages, it will actually move on their screen. When I'm ready to have them interact with the learning, I can just easily tap on my student list and I can toggle their pencil on. We also have in our cloud whiteboard, they have a little option to raise their hand, which just is great for students who don't necessarily want to raise their hand and ask questions in front of everybody. It just gives them a little bit more of a safe space. And then especially for those kids in the back of the room, they can now see everything directly on their screen. So as you build some of those collaborative tools, that's one of our favorites is the cloud whiteboard. Another tip and trick that I always like to share is the ability to access Chrome in multiple ways. So while we're already in Easy Write, if you go to the teacher toolbox, you can actually click on Google Chrome and it will split your screen. So I can add a new screen over here. I'm gonna change my background color here. So now I can pull up something in my Google Chrome. And so now you can see I can quickly access content from Google Chrome and put it directly into my Easy Write. So I can click and drag from Chrome. I can drag a link in there and so it'll show up as a link. I can grab some images. So now I can click and drag an image right into Easy Write as well. You can also do the same thing with text. So if I wanted to grab this definition, I can put this in, click and drag right over here. So just being able to quickly access your content and being able to quickly click and drag all of those resources for especially all those times that you're teaching on the fly. Now, if you are on our home, if you're back at your home screen and maybe you want to have two websites open side by side, you have a couple options. One of those is you can actually open a new window and it will auto split your screen for you. So now you can have resources in both places. So now I can go to the other resource that I need. And so now I have my two things side by side, and then I can even control what is on which one. So maybe I want my scientific method over there with my frogs. I can actually move this to my other window. And so now I can put this over there and it's gonna pop over there, and now I can open a new tab. So I always get asked a lot, how can I have two things open side by side, especially in the Chrome browser? And that's the best way to do it. Along those same lines, we do also have multi-window. So if you want to have multiple apps open at the same time, so I can open Easy Write, I can click on the sidebar and do multi-window. And so now I can slide this over. You can actually have up to 6 windows open at the same time. So I can open that. I can also open Chrome. I can also open my Drive. And so now I have all of those resources that I might want to have open at the same time, utilizing multi-window. So this is also a great way if you need to have 2 slides presentations open at the same time. You can use the multi-window feature in order to make that happen as well. Now, a couple time-saving tricks that I always like to share are just kind of really capitalizing on your account management. So the fact that you get an AMS account, a lot of times we refer to that as all my stuff because it's where all your stuff lives. You can actually build out bookmarks from your computer. So all of those resources that you go to all the time, so the digital textbooks that you use, the curriculum that you access, all of those sites that you go to every single day, you don't have to spend time going and looking for them. You can build your bookmarks, you can tap right on it, and then it's going to take you straight to that bookmark. So it'll just save you a lot of time in terms of accessing all of your materials. And you know, as teachers, y'all don't have a whole lot of time to spare. Any questions about any of the tips that I've shown so far? Okay, great. The last one I want to leave you with is using our floating tool. So what I've shown you so far, especially in our Easy Write, you have lots of tools at your fingertips, but now I'm in a browser. So I have my floating tool annotation over here that I can actually use 2 fingers and tap anywhere on the board, and it's going to bring it over to me. So now it's on my side. So if I want to annotate something on a website that I'm modeling for my students or that I'm sharing, I can use my floating tool to annotate directly on here. I can highlight all of these resources that I'm going to need to access that I really want my students to be paying attention to, but now I need to go back to something different. But how do I save this? I can actually take a screenshot using the floating tool camera, and then I can resize the camera with my fingers on the side, and then I can send it directly to Easy Write. And so now that image with all my annotations exists in my Easy Write lesson that I had pulled up just a few minutes ago. So now I have all those notes, I can reference that, and then I can now save my Easy Write lesson directly into my Google Drive. So I'm gonna save this, and now you'll see I can select my Google Drive, and now I can pick the folder that I want to drop it in to access later. Hopefully you've learned something new in this session today. Thank you guys so much for joining.